All right. Hey, welcome back to the Go for CEO channel. This is John the Bomb. Building others means business. And hey, this is so cool. It's 2024. I recently reconnected with a friend that we connected on Clubhouse. Back 2 years ago or so, or a year and a half ago, we were just on there all the time, really making great connections. And one of the great things of life with these social audio apps is that you can reach out to someone that really you had great conversations with. You had learning experiences with them. You shared thoughts and ideas, and you went through some things, right? Sharing maybe some personal stuff, some business stuff. So today, Go for CEO community, you will be learning about an incredible charitable organization. So a company called Patchworks Inc, founded by Tiffany Jones. And super excited to have you on, Tiffany. Let's have this conversation. Share with the Go for CEO community what you're doing. Love inspiration and ideation and all that stuff. So welcome to the Go for CEO channel.
Oh my gosh, John, it is amazing to be here. Thank you so much for having me. I think your introduction's perfect. Like what you said, I think the amazing connections that we can make with people online today is so powerful. And so when we got to reconnect, I know you, right? I mean, we've been through years at this point. Yesterday was my 3-year Clubhouse anniversary.
There you go.
So I am I've been on quite a journey, but ultimately what I am doing now is I have this nonprofit that brings people and supplies to teachers and communities in Tanzania to really help the schools over there, ultimately the teachers. So, the supply chain over there is very non-existent, to be honest. So I really work on increasing that supply chain so that the teachers have tools that they need in order to really educate the kids and uplift them. And then the second piece to my nonprofit is that I bring people with me. I bring people over to Africa. I never thought this would be me. I never thought that I would get to go to Africa and do service work. It's not a church affiliated thing. It's not a Doctors Without Borders kind of, this is for anybody. And, I love bringing people over to Africa with me to have this. And it's an experience of a lifetime.
Oh, that's so awesome. And, it's really cool. I read a little bit of your bio, right, that you shared that you were a teacher in Maine, which is one of the more beautiful states. I spent a little bit of time, we were talking offline, and got a chance to be in Kittery, so that kind of oceanfront area. So tell us a little bit, obviously you were inspired somehow. Would love to hear from, the audience, like to hear just kind of how you started to put this idea together, and, who did you reach out to? What were some of the, pain points of learning how to put together an organization like this? And we'll go from there.
Oh my goodness. Well, that is what I love to share, John, because again, I said my Clubhouse anniversary was 3 years ago, and 3 years ago I had just left teaching. I had been stuck in a box and feeling like I wanted to do more, but I didn't know what that was. The pandemic hit and I found Clubhouse, and, I connected with people there, and I heard people talking about businesses and building businesses and what that was. And I really feel like I got a little bit of an MBA from listening to others, right? Being in those rooms and asking questions, raising my hand. And I think that's my first big message for everybody, is that it really is that small piece, whether you're watching this podcast and you're like, oh my gosh, John is so cool, or like, I'd love to connect with those people, do it. Send an email, send a message to people that interest you, send a message, because in the end, that's how we all connect. And everybody wants to connect. When we say reach out, when we say please share, comment, whatever, people are saying that because they really do want to connect. And, so many times We stop ourselves from saying like, oh, I'm nobody. They don't really want to hear me. Maybe they're too busy, right, to hear my email. Honestly, that has been what has taken me everywhere. It's taken me to Africa.
Yeah.
Right. Is like, I raised my hand and I asked a question, and I met, a man was speaking on Clubhouse, and he was sharing about how he brings people to Kilimanjaro to climb. Kilimanjaro is the highest mountain in Africa. It's in like 19,341 feet. And he brings people affected by cancer to climb this mountain. And, he was talking about how people get ready for this trip, and, they prepare and they watch videos, but then they get to the mountain and they get this moment. I'll keep this PG. Right? But, okay. It's an oh shit moment, right? It's like, oh my gosh. It's like the rubber hits the road. It's like, wow, now what? Now this is real, right? And as he was sharing about that moment, I felt so deeply. I was having that moment with my life, and like, where was I going to go? My business, growing a business, learning new things and doing things. And, he was talking about climbing a physical mountain, but I was thinking I was like climbing a mountain in my business, right? I was climbing another kind of mountain. And I think we all have mountains through our life that we climb, and ways that we get there. And like, there are moments like I was having in my business, I wasn't monetizing. I had my first business I made was I was connecting virtual assistants with business builders, online, and I was connecting, and it was great. And I got hundreds of people jobs, and I helped some people get their virtual assistants and their SEOs. And I was working with their funnels and all these cool things in the background, but I didn't monetize. So I wasn't making any money. And it was like that moment where I was like in my business, like, what? I have to make money. I can't, it turns out you got to eat and pay your car bills. So I was having this moment, and I heard Sean talk about that, and it struck me so deep. And I said, I'm going to email him. I'm just going to let him know that message struck me. And, I didn't expect to hear anything. I didn't, but I emailed him, and honest to goodness, he emailed me right back, like within 2 minutes. And he was like, thank you for emailing me. It was so good thank you for listening, right? Like, thank you for hearing my message. Mm-hmm. And then he said, I need you actually to help me with my business. I was like, okay. Okay. So anyway, I worked with this man, Sean Swarner, and I helped him in his back end. And it was a year of working with him. And he would say, oh, he's, getting ready to go to Africa. I'm a 52-year-old mom in Maine. And he was like, oh, you'll see, Tiffany, someday you'll go to Africa. You'll climb Kilimanjaro. I was like, yeah, okay, Sean, someday I'll do that. Like, I am not a mountain climber. I didn't even have a job, but I was like, yeah, someday I'll do that. Meanwhile, my mom was going through cancer. She had, she was going through her cancer journey, and I was kind of working with her and knew that. And it was when she passed away that was my catalyst, to be completely honest, because I had been saying someday for so long that I realized instantly when she passed that you just can't say someday forever. Mm-hmm. This is it. This is it, John, right? I mean, this is our moment. We're here today, and this is what I have. And we really can't. This is the legacy. And so many things I would be like, oh, wait till I get rich, or wait till I, lose 10 pounds, or wait till I, when that will be when I do these things, right? Or wait till I know everything. And that will be when I start. And it was such a catalyst for me. It was such a big shift. It was, it was the hardest thing of my life. And losing her. And I knew I had to do something really big. And I knew that I could not say someday forever, that today was the day. And so I decided to go climb Kilimanjaro, John.
Wow. That's a decision.
I look back on it and I'm like, I shake my head because like I said, not a mountain climber. I did not have a job. I have 2 kids at home. I am, I don't know, but I said, this is it. This is it. This is the life. And so I'm going to go do it. I don't know how. And it's actually, there's a good book that I just picked up today. I'm starting to read is The How is Not Your Business.
Oh, okay.
Is the name of the book. And, I think that is also so true, is that, we think we have to wait until we know how or have all these steps. I had no idea, but I started by buying a pair of sneakers. That's what I could do, right? It was like my husband calls it the couch to Kilimanjaro because
That's awesome.
I was literally couch to Kilimanjaro. And I buy a pair of sneakers. I joined a gym. My mom passed away in January. And I bought the pair of sneakers and joined a gym in February. In March, I started a GoFundMe because these were all little things that I could do, right? I just could do the next right thing. I could just do the next little thing. I could just, email somebody, raise my hand, do that next little thing that you can do. And GoFundMes are free. And I started a GoFundMe and I could tell my story. I think that's the other piece is that I love to share is that your story is so important. Your story is no one else's. And by sharing your story, you have no idea who you are going to help, who you're going to affect. But it's important that we all share our stories. And so that's why I'm so grateful for you having this opportunity, John. Thank you.
Tiffany, what a great start, right? I mean, just the inspiration, understanding that you took a step, right? I think a lot of books, a lot of people that are on stage and share, the whole, I'll do this when, right? And unfortunately, when sometimes never comes because you're not taking action. So, and I love the steps that you just talked about. First of all, you just decided. Secondly, then you get a pair of sneakers. then you get a gym membership, right? And it's like you start to move towards this mission and this drive of where you're going. So really, really cool. I think that's a Go for CEO mindset, right? There's an acronym, which, I love my acronyms. It's called AOA, right? So assess, organize, attack, right? So a lot of times, take a second to assess where you're at, right? What's going on in your life. Then organize yourself. But don't forget to attack. Go after it. So really, really cool stuff. So tell us, you get inspired, you reach out to Sean. He's approachable, right? Which obviously gives you a sense of, really connecting with someone. This person inspires you. You start to learn. You take some action. So when does like Patchworks and some of the things that you start to develop, is it after Kilimanjaro or is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it is. So the next thing I just want to share is that I love my timeline is really powerful because March, I took that action and I started a GoFundMe. I woke up one morning, John, and my GoFundMe got funded by Grape Nuts.
Oh, wow.
The cereal, right?
Wow, that's incredible.
It was literally, first of all, I thought somebody was going to like try to get into my bank account backwards. Like I thought this was like some kind of, I'm like, Liz, you can't fool me, But it turns out Grape Nuts had turned 125 years old and they chose 9 women around the country to sponsor their adventures on their GoFundMes. And I was one of them.
Wow, that is so awesome. And the story was out there. I'm not as, I know, GoFundMe, but did you have this, and this may inspire other people, did you put that story and then just start to put it in other social medias? How did they find you, I guess, in a way?
Honestly, I really don't know exactly, to be completely honest. I had no idea.
You put it out there. That's the most important part. Yeah.
Exactly. And that is the part, right? And that's where, I don't know the how, but I do know what I can do. And if you just do what you can do. That's it, right? That's
Yeah.
all we can do. That's all we are, who knows how? I mean, literally, I get chills. I hadn't thought about grape nuts since my dad passed away 6 years ago. It was his favorite cereal.
Oh, wow.
And, I knew it was a sign. I was like in tears. And that was March. And the other thing I want to say, what happens when you get funded is like, you think, you're like, oh, if I get the money, that's what I need. I'll just get the money. And I'm going to tell you what, that's when my fear started.
Yeah. Now I have to do it. They put you to the grind then, right? Yeah.
Well, exactly. It really does. It's like, now it's real. Talk about an oh shit moment. I'm like, oh my gosh, what did I get myself into? Now Grape Nuts has sponsored me. I got to go climb a mountain.
That's so fun.
Oh my gosh. So that was March. And then I will tell you, April, I got diagnosed with breast cancer.
Wow. Jeez.
Now, my whole piece about climbing Kilimanjaro was to climb Kilimanjaro to kick cancer's butt. That was my story. That was my GoFundMe, because my mom had just passed away and my dad had passed away a few years before that. And it had taken so much from me, cancer. I really was like on this mission to really just take back, right? And then when I got diagnosed with cancer in April, I was like, oh my gosh, now it's really personal. I was, I had more fuel to my fire. And so, and again, we go to that, you can't say someday forever. I mean, and talk about a reality slap when you get diagnosed with cancer. You're like, now it's today. Now it really is the moment and the urgency. So I was more determined than ever. We walk into the doctors. My husband's like, you're more afraid they're going to tell you can't climb than that you have cancer. I was like, yes, I just got funded by Grape Nuts. I gotta do this. I bought my sneakers. Anyway, I worked with my doctors and they were amazing. The first week of June, I had my first surgery, a lumpectomy. And my last week of June, I flew out to Africa.
Wow.
And this was 2000. So it was 2022. I flew out to Africa and I got there. The hike itself is 6 days. And I had been a teacher before, and I had been the whole year like gathering supplies for the schools and knowing that I wanted to bring them items to the schools and see the kids. But my plane got delayed on the way over to Africa. And so I flew into Kilimanjaro and I had to climb the mountain in 24 hours. So I didn't have time to go see the school before I climbed, which was a piece that saddened me for sure. But, it's a 6-day hike up this mountain. Hardest thing I've ever done. I'm not a mountain climber. But there were a couple places that I really wanted to get to. And that was day 3 is the Lava Tower, it's called. And that's the first time you get to 15,000 feet. I had been Mount Washington in New Hampshire is like 6,000 feet. That was the highest I'd been before. And I got there and I cried. I was so happy. I did this with my beautiful team that I had. And then day 4, you go through this wall that is like rock climbing. It's like you've got this bag. It's really hard. But it's also really like Mars up there, and it's dusty and there's nothing, rocks. It's like being on the moon, right?
Okay.
And I fell on day 4. And I slipped and my head was down the mountain and my feet were up the mountain. And I saw the summit and I realized I didn't want to die. I didn't want to die on that mountain. And I also realized it was a little more dangerous than I thought, at this moment as I'm laying there. And so again, it goes to decisions. And I had to make a decision at that point. to not go to the summit. I was hypoxic. I couldn't breathe. I was hypothermia. I was dehydrated. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't do anything. I was in tears. My body just said no, it wouldn't go. And I had to listen. And, I definitely could have, the guides would have carried me to the top if it was something I needed to do. Like, there were ways that people were getting carried to the top or, whatever. But I knew I wanted to walk off the mountain on my own 2 feet. And I didn't want somebody to carry me. There was a helicopter pad below me. I didn't want to fly off the mountain. I had come this far, I really wanted to walk off on my own 2 feet. So I made the decision, again, a decision. And, it was a hard decision. It was like a little bit like, oh, I'm letting people down, all these things, this mental piece. But as I was walking down, my mom came to me, and my mom and I were very different people. She was like a easygoing, like, oh, it's okay, life is like this. And I'm like a bull in a china shop. I'm like, let's go, let's do this. Right. So a lot of times my mom and I would have different ways that we would deal with situations. But my mom came to me as I was crying and coming down from the mountain, and my team was 2 days left to get to the summit. And she said, Tiffany, sometimes it's stronger to be gentle than to fight. And she was right. And I think of that, Chinese finger puzzle. I think of how many times I make plans and God laughs. I think of how many times, right, I try to just, plow through something. And a lot of times what you really just need to do is believe that you're right where you're supposed to be.
Wow. That just gave me chills. It's an interesting scenario in your life, right? To want to be somewhere, right? Yes. Expect to be somewhere. And because you do have a belief in God, and you know that there is a purpose, right? And there is something that we're all supposed to be, journeying towards, but then being still and understanding that it's okay that you're at where you're at. That just hit me, because that's, been always a struggle for me as an only child. Not having siblings to compete with necessarily, but just competing with myself all the time. Yeah. Like figuring out, all right, I need to be here. I want to be here. I want to do this. I want to succeed. I want to do this, all that stuff. And it's interesting that you just share that. So Go for CO community. I mean, that last 3-4 minutes there, what an incredible story, right? And 6 months it took to make from a decision, inspiration, send an email. Let's track these things, right? What are the little steps that Tiffany did to get to where she went to, right? And then on top of it, we know that life has dips, and if you get to any understanding in life, you're gonna have some trials and tribulations, right? It's not going to be a perfect road. Now she gets to this 15,000 elevation, and all of a sudden, boom, falls, and her body starts, reacting. But what a cool moment that you felt your mom's presence and her sharing with that little voice that we all hear, right? And I lost my mom in 2014. It's always interesting, right? When you have a parent, and we all know, I mean, I'm a parent now. They're going to lose me and my wife one day, but that's the inspirational part of just being able to also be in that higher gamma thinking, right? And the energy that you have, and how cool you put yourself in a situation where you could make a decision and connect with your mom that way as well. So really, really awesome stuff. So the journey is really interesting. How did you start to develop everything else that has come up too?
Yeah. So I'm sorry about my little puppy.
No, that's all right.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. She's a 10-pound dog who thinks she's 100 pounds.
They all do the Napoleon.
But so I had basically, because of this decision, John, I had 2 days that the rest of my team was going to the summit. I got to be in the village. And I had missed going to the school before because of my flight was delayed. Mm-hmm. And now I got to go to the school.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And it was only because of those 2 days. If I had made the summit, I probably wouldn't even go back. I don't even know if none of this would have happened if I had made the summit.
Wow.
That's, yeah. So I do love that. And I think, God blesses this broken road that led me straight to you. Because I walked into those school and I was in the village for those 2 days. I made amazing connections, and that's where Patchworks was born, because I saw the need so clearly for these teachers who have no paper. There's, like I said earlier, there's no supply chain. There's no stores. A teacher runs out of pencils. There's no CVS. There's no Amazon. There's no Walgreens. There's no Staples. There's there's no way for supplies to reach into this community, really, right? And it was so clear to me that there was this need. And, it isn't anything huge. I mean, it's simple things, right? It's simple things that I can bring over. I can bring pencils. So I created Patchworks. Patchworks was born. And, from there, it has been an incredible journey of becoming a 501c3, getting registered. I feel like I'm really growing up here. Last year was my first year that I brought people from around the world back to Tanzania with me.
Oh, wow.
And it was amazing because, you have the idea, right? I had the idea. I saw the vision while I was there, and I knew that it could be. And then I came home to the US, and I had a whole year of cancer treatments, right? And journey. But through that, I knew that I had this higher purpose. I knew I was creating Patchworks, and Patchworks helped me. It uplifted me, right? It gave me that purpose to really focus on that positive. Again, what can you do? There's so much I can't control about cancer. Oh my gosh. But what I can control is registering a company. I can do that, right? I can build this company. I can, get a board of directors. I can find out all these things that you need to do in order to create a nonprofit. And so last June, I got to bring over, it was my first trip where it came into fruition. And I brought people with me. I brought my 11-year-old daughter, and I brought a woman from Germany, and another couple people over with me. And we do 10-day trips, 10 days of 5 days of service, 5 days of safari. And
okay.
It's amazing. It's so exciting. I can't wait. I'm like, I just want to bring everyone to Africa with me now. It's amazing.
It's a beautiful land. I mean, certainly from reading the text and all the things that are going on. I have a pretty decent friend that I know. He became very successful in his 30s, and now in his 50s. For the last 10-15 years, he's had it's called All for One is the charity. So he built a school. I can't remember the name of the place. It escapes me, but it's really interesting. And I've had a chance to donate and just see kind of on Instagram. He does have a page for it, and just see kind of the things that he's been able to do. And he's gone to Nicaragua, so Africa, Nicaragua, and some other places, Costa Rica, I believe. And look, I mean, obviously we're blessed to be in one of the best countries, the best country in the world. The best human experience and everything, the way that it was set up by our forefathers and stuff like that. And even though we have our pains and things that we go through as a society, because it is all of us that put this country together and keep on building it and rebuilding it and all that stuff. So many places around the world benefit from you, Tiffany Jones, having an inspiration, right? And being able to now do these things where you bring people. And, I was just imagining in my mind, arriving there with like a box of notebooks and a box of pencils and the joy. There was, I'll share a story real quick. At our church, there's an opportunity to host a kid or sponsor, a child. And about 4 or 5 years ago, we started sponsoring this child out of Honduras. And it was interesting because the girls, they were probably 6 and 4, so maybe they didn't totally understand. But for about a year or so, we sponsored this child, and it was interesting when he would write us, the money that we would donate created an opportunity for him to get, let's say, some socks or some
Yeah.
shoes, or he would do these little like, drawings, and I would have them, the girls and ourselves, draw or do something back for that kid. And just the inspiration of someone being affected just for a few extra dollars that you could spend to be able to give to someone else. It was a really cool feature. Actually makes me think, we need to get back on those opportunities to be able to give back, right? So really,
Yeah.
really cool stuff. So
Yeah.
Patrick, go ahead.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's what it's so powerful, right? I mean, I think we all talk about how important it is to give and what we do get from giving.
Yeah. Oh, for
And
sure.
and it takes so little, right? I mean, it really does take so little. And what I love about, for my nonprofit, John, is that it's me, right? It's me and this, my little board of directors. Every dollar goes directly to these kids, to the schools, to the teachers. I can tell, I know the people, right? I know, like, exactly. We can connect you with the people you're sponsoring. Like, it's not this experience that I can provide is very personal. It's not, you watch like other nonprofits where you're like, donate $1 here or whatever, and you have no idea where that dollar goes, right?
Yeah.
I love that my nonprofit is really, it's small and it's really powerful that every dollar goes to the kids.
No, that's awesome. And you shared a little bit about just even the journey of learning how to set it up, how to do a 501c3 and the organizing of it and keeping yourself right and managing the money correctly so that there's no misinterpretation of everything going on. And what a cool thing to have that integrity filled side of things, right? So now, about a year or so, year and a half or two now into it, what are some things that you're feeling like will be progress for? Is it more people? Is it, more supplies? Like, what is it that you feel is kind of the biggest goal for Patchworks over the next few years?
Yeah. So I absolutely more people. My goals are to bring more people. I mean, my goal, I right now have one trip a year that goes over to Africa. We go June. I am teaching again. I'm back in the classroom. So I go for the 10-day trip is in June. My ultimate goal is to go 3 times a year so that, again, we can create that supply chain and bring more people over and more times of the year. And then my other goal is to actually build more of a space for educating the moms of the children. So there's a lot of opportunity for women to learn skills and get into the workforce to be able to support themselves and their children to make some money. So teaching those moms kind of basic business skills, right? How to become their own entrepreneurs over there. And that's, and just other ways where we also are planting a lot of trees. We do when we're there. We have a beehive initiative. We're building beehive boxes out in the Maasai village. Beehives. We have planting trees for the moms. My hope is to really get them some sewing machines and get them some sewing skills so that they can create. And again, set up their own little businesses, and then also build more space for the classrooms. Right now, there's not enough room for all the kids that are there. So, those are some of my goals.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. And look, in the Go for CEO channel, we typically talk about client experience and engagement and operational excellence. This is a different type of business, right? That has a lot of meaning to it. And what a cool journey over the last 2.5 years. Obviously, it's something very personal that happened to you with your mother. Then it, comes to you and you have to deal with it as well. I'm hoping everything is, you're on a good path health-wise. That's awesome.
I am. Yes, my hair is growing back, John. So
yeah.
I was.
we just had a a good friend of ours, very close friend, through cervical cancer. And in fact, yesterday I met with a business owner that told me his story. He was inspired because his dad was going through, sickness, and a home health person came to his dad, and they have pretty good money, and the care wasn't good. Then he fired that person, and the care wasn't good again. And he fired that person, and the next person, the third person. He told her, "Look, I want you to specifically take care of my dad. Like anything he needs, the attention has to be on him. My dad worked his butt off he's an immigrant from Italy and built a really nice life for himself. But it seemed like the home healthcare industry was kind of a little bit lacking. And this guy got inspired. So he built his own home healthcare business. And now he has hospice, which he's revolutionized, home healthcare, primary care, and another division. Can't remember offhand, but those 4 divisions make him the only company in America. And this was inspired because his dad wasn't being treated the right way. All throughout, there was a point where basically about 3 or 4 years ago, and this guy's in his mid-50s right now, he said that he woke up in the morning and unfortunately, his right testicle was hurting, and he found out he had testicular cancer. And thankfully, he, being in that industry, got to meet urologists and all these types of doctors, and they acted super quickly, and it really saved his life, and it's inspired him. He's got a charity and stuff like that. So cool. It's just really neat, right? Through some things that we could all say, man, that sucks, it happened to me. You get inspiration, you work with that situation, and you create something out of it. So kudos to you, Tiffany.
Oh, that is so cool. And so my word of the year for 2024, John, is believe. Believe. Okay. Because we have no idea what that path is where it's going to bring us, how it's going to unfold. I had no idea when I went to go climb this mountain that I was crazy, where it was going to lead. And, here I am today. And if I hadn't fallen, I don't know that I would be here, So it really is those falls that we think could be failures that really do lead to success.
I love it. Well, look, instead of client experience and engagement and all these things, why don't you share with us, I guess, just, what it means to set your charitable organization up, take one inspiration that you had in your life and make it a movement for yourself. However big or small it is, you've done it, right? And now you could teach it, which is, apropos for being a teacher. So can you leave us with some final thoughts about if we get inspired and there's something that we want to change, and which, by the way, actually, you know what? I'd love a little bit of the story with Grape Nuts. Did they ever reach back out? How did that interaction go? And then can you leave us with what should people...
I got to the summit, and, I think what I would say for beginning is to really just take that next step, whatever that is. And, for all of us, wherever we are, it's, beginning, right? And that's climbing. I like to tell everyone, climb every mountain. We don't know where that summit will really bring you. And, for me, it began with just buying that pair of sneakers, but I had to do that, right? Or the decision to email somebody or raise your hand, reach out, just do the next right thing, and believe that we are all destined for greatness.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Tiffany, for helping inspire us, move us to action, take those little steps, and then do something that could be impactful in this world. And hey, it's 2024. Obviously every new year allows us to kind of recalibrate, refocus, ignite some of the things that maybe are inside of us. And hopefully sometimes it doesn't take, something tragic, but sometimes it needs to be. And then sometimes it's just taking a step to connect with a human being like you did with Sean, and allowing yourself to be connected. And now that inspiration keeps on flowing, and moving forward. So ladies and gentlemen, Go for CEO community, subscribe to the channel if you're brand new. This is a new stream that we're doing, and this year, really, really cool, different types of businesses, types of situations, types of people we're going to bring on to the Go for CEO community. So thank you so much for being a part of it, Tiffany. And any last words?
Just thank you. You know, I appreciate you, John, so much, this space. And, you know, I think that really anything is possible. You know, I think anything is possible. And when we just believe and take that next step.
Love it. Love it. Well, if a book is in the future for you, I'd love to have you on and sharing that, even if it's a small book, to just share this journey that you've been on is pretty awesome. I will say that my book's coming out very, very shortly. You know, we're going through the 4 steps of how to be driven, you know, how to take a Go for CEO mindset and be driven by mindset. So excited to have and keep on sharing, and we'll connect offline and online for the future.
Sounds great. Love it. Great to see you, John. Thank you.